1974 was a banner year, in my life anyhow. 1974 was the year I was released to be a civilian from the Marine Corps. It was the year I decided to never cut my hair again. It was the year I discovered Friday and Saturday night cruising. There was a mile-and-a-half segment of street where guys went back and forth, vrooming the engines on their hot rods and trying to impress the ladies, who were trying to remain aloof enough not to be bothered. 1974 was also the year, at the age of 19, that I decided I was a man. You see, superior training by non-commissioned officers, thanks to them, I was a lean, mean fighting machine. Why, I could whip any 6 normal people. Funny what one will believe after being brainwashed. All of this brings me to one of the most important learning events of my life. I was still living with my parents and using their car until I found my own. One evening I strolled into the living room ever so cool and informed my dad that I had a date and I was taking the family car. Well, Dad glanced up at me from his position on the piano bench watching TV and said he and Mom were going out and would need the car. I reminded him we had a deal. I took care of a few mechanical things the family car needed in exchange for the use of the car. He said sorry, but that was not going to be the case that evening. It was at that moment I lost my presence of mind and said something irrational. Look, I have a date, we made a deal, I am taking the car. Following that, I reached for the keys, which were laying on the edge of the music stand. Remember Dad sitting on the piano bench? As I reached past Dad to get the keys, I got a real bad feeling in the pit of my stomach, like somebody's going to get hurt. I guess it was good fortune that caused me to lean a bit to the right and look over my shoulder, just as Dad's fist went past. I swear I felt the air from it. I suppose I should share a bit about my dad here. He was 6'5", weighed in about 300, and wore a size 19 ring. Had a 58-inch chest and a 40-inch waist. If his fist had connected, my head would have popped. Fortunately, he missed my head. However, he did connect with the music stand, which departed company from the piano. It flip-flopped and danced through the air, impacted the wall, and cracked the plaster. I was frozen in place. First time my dad had ever swung at me. My blessed mother cleared the air when she looked at Dad's hand and wrist, swelling from the punch to the wooden music stand, and said, "Look what you did to your father's hand." Only a mother. I sprinted to the kitchen to put together a makeshift ice pack for Dad, then with it extended as far out from me as my right arm would allow, went back to the living room. Mom applied it, Dad and I made peace, and I called my new girl to cancel our date. When I explained why, she was very sweet and said we could take her car. I wished we could. As I said, I was back living with my parents at the time until I got settled in and found a place. In the interim, their rules still applied. I was grounded. A 19-year-old, 6'4", 230-pound Marine, and grounded. The adage of once a Marine, always a Marine is true, except when living with one's parents. I would no longer be grounded after I repaired the wall and the piano. I was to heal the crack in the plaster and repaint the area that was cracked. There was still some paint from when the walls were originally painted, but both of my parents smoked and the nicotine had taken its toll on the alabaster-colored walls. The paint didn't match. Yep, the folks got a repaint out of the deal too, the whole room. I discovered the screws affixing the music stand to the piano were bronze. A magnet would not attract them from where they had fallen to the sound plate. Of course, they had all fallen under the taut springs. I had to loosen the strings, retrieve the screws, fill the original holes, reattach the music stand, and the final step was having the piano tuned. My lesson learned here was to borrow something, regardless of a previous arrangement. Had I asked Dad if I might borrow the car for my date, instead of just blurting out that I was taking the car, this tale probably would have held a different, happier ending, I am sure. Filed away and noted for future use. Oh, for the record, 2 weeks later I had my date. The girl and I had one date. Didn't work out after all.